we're back again, man. Welcome to the Power Grid. Got my guy Zion and my guy Titus.
Let's clap it up. Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Got my guy Daryl, you know.
Hey, you already know, man. Best team on YouTube today. You know what I'm saying? Check us out, bro. Power Grid. You know what
Power
I'm saying?
Grid.
So how's y'all's day going?
Awesome.
Hey, bro, listen. Straight off of work, bro. We lit.
That was the most dry awesome I've ever heard. Awesome. That was just, he was not excited.
I'm tired.
to
I'm
look good.
tired.
No, I feel it, man. I feel it.
I'm tired too, bro.
The grind never stops. We never
Grind
sleep.
never
The
stops.
grind never stops. Hey, keep going, though.
No,
Let's
facts.
go.
I think my day was pretty good so far. Woke up pretty early to get prepared for this. I'm really excited to be here, man. I'm not going to lie.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Definitely been waiting for you to come on here. You too.
For
Me
sure.
too.
For sure. For sure.
Very sharp brother. Yeah, so how you been? How's your journey been? You too, you know, you could talk, you know, anybody can go first. You've been doing a lot of creating lately, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
You've been producing, making music, traveling, vlogging, you know, all that type of stuff. So, you know, I know where you was last year.
Right.
It's inspiring
Right,
to see where you are
right,
this
right.
year. So,
Yeah.
you know, explain how that came apart.
So my story, right, kind of starts when I was like super young. So I have a music inclined family. My first instrument was the drums. My mom brought me she bought me a plastic. I don't know if it was plastic or real. Let's just say it was a real drum set at 2 years old.
Wow.
And I started playing on it, and then, you know, as time progresses, I switched to the piano. But like every time I switched the instrument, it was because of like a noise ordinance, because of like neighbors and stuff.
Yeah.
So like if I'm playing too loud on something, then I had to switch the instrument. So
Yeah.
I play about 6 or 7 instruments now, and then going out of that, it's been really interesting, kind of growing up, right? Because when you're younger, like, all you know is what you know.
Facts.
Like, okay, like this color is red, but you don't know why it's red, or like this is the table, but you don't know why it's a table. Like, you know, you know, certain stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to understand the whole growing up process. So for me, I've been doing a lot of music producing my entire life, and then recently got into videography and photography a couple years ago. Only because I've been really into writing scores for film, which is basically the music for movies or whatever. So I'm like, you know, if I could do both, that'd be really great, because I don't have to pay outside of you know, me getting music from somebody. So I could just create the music for what I'm shooting, which I thought, you know, which is great. But to kind of get to the story where I'm at now, so recently I was working at Ace Hardware Distribution.
Ooh, I'm there now.
Yeah, and I kept having these conversations with, because I worked on third shift, so you know, third shift people are like a bunch of like old wise people, right? So it's like, you know, like, you don't want to be here forever, like get out, you're young, you know. So I'm getting that talk every night, like, bro, why are you still here? Why are you? And I'm like, man, like, they really want me to like get out of here, because
It's like a
like
trap.
they understand the in a sense they kind of lost a part of their life staying in a system so long, you know what I mean?
Yo.
So the more I kept getting those talks, I understood. And like shout out to Chris, my ex manager, as weird as that, like, you know, may sound, but my ex manager, Chris, like, he really helped me get out, like, because I wouldn't do a good job for like a week or two straight, and like, you know, people kept telling him, oh, just fire him, just blah 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 blah, and like he's like no, like he's gonna get out of here, but we're gonna get him out of here correctly.
For sure.
So it's like he'll set me up a list, like, okay, by this month you're gonna get this, by this month you're gonna get this, so he really helped me kind of pave what I'm doing today. So the funny story about how I left was, I wasn't supposed to have a 2-week vacation, because I'm a new employee, so like, you're not supposed to do that at all. So after my 3 months was up, he was like, I actually got a call from my dad. I was like, hey, we're about to do the state fair. Like, do you think you can come up? I'm like, man, I don't know. Chris was like, who is that? I was like, my dad. He was like, how long do you be gone for? I was like, 2 weeks. I'll set up. Go ahead and go. I'm like, dang, what the
They
heck?
cool like that at Ace.
No, like,
Nah, they
no.
real
So
cool at Ace,
I
like that.
really appreciate Chris for that. And then, so my dad lives in Minnesota. He has a barbecue catering company. called Jones and Your Bones Barbecue.
Hey, let me
And-
tell you right now, them little pineapple things you be making look so good.
So my dad, like, he does barbecue. So he has like
Sound nice.
it's a jerk chicken pineapple bowl, which is like white rice, jerk chicken, pineapples, and peppers on top. And then we have it's called an all nothing breakfast sandwich. It's called an all nothing breakfast sandwich, and it has like cheese, eggs, peppers, all that stuff in a patty form. So it's like not like all stacked. It's all in a patty form. It's really good.
Please tell me where this is at.
It's in Minnesota,
It's
but
all-
Bro, what's up?
I am trying to have an event where like I get vendors from like across the country to come to Springfield.
Oh, that's
So
dope, for sure.
that's in the
Let
works.
me
That's in the
know I'm
works.
there.
But to kind of continue the story, so my dad he has that in Minnesota. So we worked at State Fair, a wonderful time, wonderful experience. Kind of got back into the whole cooking thing because I went to culinary school in high school. So to kind of have that experience and do that with my dad is like really dope. But then after the State Fair, I was like, man, I really do not want to go back to Ace. Like, I don't want to go back to that lifestyle because when you are creative, right? And that's everyone in this room, including the person behind the camera.
Right.
When you're a creative and you're in a space where you can't be creative, your mind is constantly doing this.
Yeah,
How
for
can I get
sure.
out? How can I do this? How can
Yeah.
I?
Yeah.
So once your mind starts wondering, right, then you try to get out of what you're in. So like I was telling Murph before we got on or before we start, setting up and stuff, I was like the greatest things about creatives is that we can create wonder. Some people sit there and like, man, I didn't know that I could do this because they saw an outlet that
Influenced them.
basically, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? So
Vision.
literally. So like when I got back home and I was like, man, I do not want to go back to Ace. Like I will be homeless before I go back to Ace, and I mean that in a real way. Just because like you shouldn't, again, as anyone who has a passion for anything, you should not be at a place that you don't want to be at for 12 hours a day. And then on top of that, you also have to think that they're only giving you $15 to $18 an hour. So your life is only worth $15 to $18 an
crazy.
hour.
And then
Think about that,
And
like,
then
literally.
on top of that, you only get 2 days off.
And bro, which is ridiculous. So I'm all about financial freedom and understanding freedom for what it is. But to keep going, so I was like, man, I do not want to go back to Ace. So literally, like as soon as I said that, 10 minutes later, my aunt, her name is Tamika Jones. She has her own makeup line out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, called Lip Esteem, which she started last year during COVID, which is crazy to think about because like a lot of Black-owned businesses actually started in COVID
Yeah.
because they didn't want to go back to the job, they didn't want to
Yeah.
go back to work with people. So she was one of those people, and it basically has been booming ever since. So she there's a show on Hulu called Small Business Revolutions, and they're based out of Minnesota, but like they usually travel across the country to small businesses, trying to help them, give them advice, blah blah blah.
Right.
But for this for season 6 is the one that she's in. She applied for it and she got it, right. So they've been following her for I think 8 months. Telling her story, helping her create better business. How to understand financial stuff, inventory, all that stuff, right. So the day I said that I did not want to go back to Ace, she texted me and she was like, hey, because I shot her it was like a 30-second video on my GoPro, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was nothing crazy, like,
Yeah.
so she sent that off to her, sent that off to Hulu, and they're like, yeah, like we would love to have Zion to come, do like a job shouting for a couple
Oh,
weeks.
that's awesome.
So when she told me that, she was like, yeah, I want you to take this opportunity. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, bro, I would have to lose my job, I wouldn't have any money. And she's like, Zion, I want you to come out here. I'll pay for your ticket, blah, blah, blah. Don't worry about anything else. Just get the experience.
That's dope.
So I'm like, okay, I'm doing it. Like
Yes.
it was a moment in time for me to actually take a jump. People always come up with opportunities or they look over a cliff or something, but they don't take that jump.
Yeah.
So when I was again looking down, I'm like, man, should I jump?
Oh man, jump.
It literally took all the fear out of my body just to go. So I appreciate my aunt for doing that because working with Hulu or shadowing with Hulu has opened my eyes to so much to like understanding like the whole mic process, understanding lighting, understanding like the backdrop, understanding how certain things are shot is amazing, bro. Is amazing. So with working with Hulu, I got another internship in Minnesota working with Fox Sports.
Oh,
So
man.
next week I'm going back to Minnesota to I think I'm going to be kind of doing some work with Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah,
So
that's dope.
I'm hoping for that, hoping that goes well. But basically the moral of the story is kind of really trust your abilities, really trust your creativeness, really trust your process of what you do, so your lifestyle can become your living. You know what I mean?
That's crazy, man. That
so-
makes me happy, bro.
And then
because
okay, another thing is real quick before we transition, Laz understands where I come from.
that's
because,
why I'm
like,
sitting here smiling like,
Uh,
yo,
'cause
wow.
there was a point in time where like I guess you can say I was toxic and negative, and like Laz has been there, right? And then kind of transitioning and growing out of that, Laz seen it. And for him to always show love, to be like, Zion, like, I remember when you were blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, man, like, that's crazy because I forget about it because I don't care about it no more. Like, I'm in a position in my life now where I'm focused on the position in my life now.
For sure, yeah.
So it's like, yeah.
I
so-
mean, that's
go ahead.
powerful and inspirational in itself. It's like,
Sure.
that's a walking story. Just, oh, man, it's just
And then
crazy.
one more
because-
quick thing.
No, you good.
So another thing is like going back to like music producing. I had a friend. I keep shouting out people because I have to, because they're all connected to my story. But I had a friend named Savon Rucker. He's a video production, all that stuff, right? And he was because I would always tell him how like I didn't like my appearance, or like my hair's not done, like I feel fat. Like he was like, bro, how much music or how much stuff do you have in your laptop or like with inside you that you haven't released yet? I said everything. And he said that's why you feel the way you are, because you're literally becoming what you stored for so long. So now that I'm in the position to
Release it.
release,
Yeah.
Right.
the transition is gonna go so much better. But that's all I want to say for that.
But I do want to piggyback off of what you said about taking that leap and, jumping out on faith. So, like, I have, like, a background in trading in the foreign exchange market. And a lot of people is like, man, you don't need to do that. You don't need to do this. But I literally laid in my bed. I invested 10 cents and made $20 off of it. And I'm like, dude, like, what am I doing with a job? And it just kind of sparked my creativity of, like, jumping on and doing things that makes you feel uncomfortable. Like, when you get comfortable in things, that makes you just lackadaisical and all that other
Settle.
stuff. But when you're uncomfortable, it's like, man, I can do better in this area. I can do better in this
Yeah,
area.
facts.
I can do better in this area. Maybe I can inspire this person to do better. But it's just like, man, there's so much out there in the world that people cannot see because they're just got blinders on and they're just looking like, man, I don't see nothing. But man, when you take the blinders off, man, the sky is not the limit.
Yeah,
You can
because
go as high as you want.
I always have this conversation with people about correct exposure for the youth and
For sure.
people our age or older. Correct exposure, right?
Yes,
So everything, and again, shout out to my mom because
For sure.
we always have
Right.
these conversations about how everything comes back to a choice. So it's like when you decide to do something, that's still a choice. You know what I mean? So like it's going to correct exposure comes with a choice. You know what I mean? So it's like you can choose what you feed, you can choose what you look at, you can choose what you know what I mean? So everything comes back to correct exposure. And then for those who don't understand correct exposure, is basically like your influence is an exposure. So like let's say I'm growing up and I see Laz. Okay, so let's say I have a family at home. My mom's a crackhead. My dad ain't there. But I have a brother and sister that I need to feed. But I see Laz and he's a drug dealer trying to do this, trying to do that, and he's saying like, this is the way to make money.
Facts.
And like that's all I see is that exposure.
Facts.
But there's so much outside of what people know. They don't look everywhere else. They look
Yeah.
right here because that's all I know.
Wow.
So correct exposure comes within having that outlet to look, which is important for creatives to create wonder, so people can be like, man, that is possible. So now I'm gravitating towards that. Man, this is possible. So now I'm gravitating towards that. So
This design I always seen.
Hey, you feel me,
This
bro?
design
I
always
had to go
seen.
up. I had to go up.
I've been telling people this dude's powerful,
Had
man.
to go
Just
up.
get a platform. That's it. So we got my man Titus over
Yes,
here.
sir.
man.
Titus.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Tell us today, man.
Yes, sir.
My guy Titus, man.
Yes, sir.
So we went to school together.
Yep, sure did.
You was always the youngin.
Yeah.
Wow, Emmanuel, right?
Yeah.
Woo, Emmanuel was not it.
Korea.
Mayo was fine, bro. When I was there, Emmanuel
I
was
have
fine.
fun.
Them uniforms was not it.
Yeah.
The uniforms definitely no, but other than that, it was fun. But like I was saying, man, like when I left Emmanuel and I went to Roosevelt, and then I went to Springfield High, of course. So I wasn't really necessarily around you, but I seen the image that you put out.
For sure.
Every time I seen you, you was suited up,
Powerful.
Definitely.
minding your business, taking care of what you had to do. At a young age, though, I want to ask you, like, what had an impact on you to have such a sharp image at a very young age? Like,
Yeah, I do. Because, like, now that I think
that's
about it,
impressive, bro. That's a good
I've
point.
never seen you, like, dress like how I dress, which
Dress
is, like,
down,
super
yeah.
casual.
Yeah.
Like, you've always been, like, I don't want to say uptight, but, like, you've been sharp.
sharp, yeah.
Yeah.
Always been sharp, for sure.
Honestly, it was and my mom says that a lot because she said, "Oh, you a second, you know," or like I won't say, but you kind of like your father, you know, and like my father didn't necessarily dress up all the time, like you know, but he had a soft spirit, and he like the way he presented himself was sharp.
Right,
The way he treated my mother was how a queen should be treated,
right.
and he was a king.
Talk about it.
So that's
Talk about it.
So that's how,
Man.
and so he treated her like royalty.
Right.
Even if he didn't necessarily have all the money in the world, it's not even about the money
It's the
anyway.
feeling.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and he treated all his children with, you know, knew how to raise them well, you know. So when he passed away, it was you know, I just wanted to live in his legacy. So everywhere I went, I was like, let me show the image that my father showed.
And you doing a very good job at it,
my,
bro.
Cause my father, like, sometimes he would like go up to like houses in our neighborhood and just young men, you know, with their pants down. He doesn't like yell at them, or he didn't just say anything. My mother told me this story, and he went up to him with humility, because you never know what kind of background or household they could come from.
Yeah,
you know,
facts.
their father could be gone. Their father could be in prison. Their father could be he been in a
They don't have
domestic
no
violence
guidance, yeah.
situation. No guidance at all. You know, so they pants us down, or they, you know, not presenting themselves as young men should. And so, you know, but my mother told me a story one time. He went up to some young men that had their pants sagging or whatever. He was like, hey, pull your pants up, just with the softest spirit, and they respect that. My father was a very respected man,
Yeah.
and so that's where I get it from, you know. But I was like, everywhere I go, let me present myself as a young man should. You know, there's too many young men out here that don't know how to present themselves because they don't have an example. Well, I had a great example, the finest example I've ever saw. So let me be an example for my peers, or the ones younger than me coming up, the young men younger than me coming up. That's why I always, everywhere I go, professionalism.
How old are you now?
20.
So I do have a quick question though. So like I was showing the last like one of the questions I had, but
Yeah,
so
for
the
sure.
question I had was actually, which is funny that you bring that stuff up.
Yeah, right into it.
Was do you guys think the lack of a male figure affects the upbringing of a young male, and if so, why? Right. So because like so for me growing up, my dad wasn't really there because you know he's a different state or a different headspace.
Totally
But
right.
for my mom, like it's very difficult for women to raise a son. How do you
sure
implement
is.
a male figure? How do you do that?
Right.
How do you tell your son, you know what, like you should treat women this way because of blah 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 blah, or this is how you be a man because of blah blah blah, right? But I think it's very interesting on how, for me personally, my mom being a single mother, for her to raise me into the man I am today. You know what I mean? So I just want to know, like, basically, like, do you guys think a lack of a male figure destructs the upbringing of a young male, or do you think that?
Absolutely.
I got you. Absolutely, it does. And I'm gonna say this. I always say this. The biggest pandemic in the United States is not the coronavirus. It's father absence.
Talk to us, man.
and it's been there for years.
Wow.
You know, it doesn't matter if it's the black community, the Asian community, the white community. There's a lot of father absence. And do you realize that nearly 20 million children in the United States lives without their biological father?
Oh,
Man, that makes me want to cry, bro. That's
One in four,
Yeah, 1 to 4. Yep, you're right.
right? But a lot of people don't understand that the family unit is very important. Very important. And a lot of people don't understand that. But a child is more likely to commit suicide if their father isn't in the home. A child is more likely to live in poverty when they get older if their father isn't in the home. A child is more likely to commit a crime and get locked up if their father's not in the home. You may ask why. Well, especially I get especially answer for I'll say for young men and it's young women too, but young men, it's because they don't have a positive example.
Right.
And there's too many negative examples.
Correct exposure.
There's too many negative examples.
exactly.
Right.
Thinking
They listen to the raps about you know, they making songs about cheating, making songs about just
Being toxic.
how many bodies you have.
Right.
And it's crazy to piggyback on that.
Yeah.
I just seen a post where it said, what did it say? It had a bunch of like music artists, and it was saying like, it said the caption was "the blind leading the blind."
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because like, you know, for young men, like when you like, cause me, I didn't know a lot coming up, you know, and thankfully, you know, there's people that stepped up and was a father figure in my life, but I didn't know a lot, you know, just young, and sometimes I would cry, you know what I'm saying, and feel bad, like, you know, because there's young men out here that know you know, I knew so much, but I didn't get that, you know what I'm saying, I didn't get that.
And then and again, I don't know if I'm speaking for everybody, but this is just a question, right? So with that, right? Do you think when people did show you the attention that you wanted from your father, like, do you feel like you, in a sense, had love for those people because, like, man, like,
Missing the
I
father.
wanted that attention from my dad, but since
Yeah.
I'm getting it from this person, now I feel like this person has to be a father figure, and now I feel like this person has to be a father figure. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
When it comes to, I never really necessarily looked at it like that. I just
Yeah.
feel like, cause you know, I relate with you guys a little bit as far as like, my dad. I've always had a great relationship with my dad for sure, but he was at a point in time when I was younger where he was coaching a lot. So basketball was, I don't want to say more important, but had his attention way more than,
Yeah.
you know, seeing me and my brother. And I seen an effect that it had on my brother because my brother, I was younger when my dad and my mom was together, and my brother was older. So when my dad, you know, left, it had a way more effect on him because I was younger. I don't remember anything, so it had more an effect on him. And seeing him in his position that he is in today, it definitely was a lack of father guidance. He's in prison, you know. I know a lot of people know that, but the father figure is the example, like you said.
Absolutely.
It shapes a young man, you know, how to move in life.
Yeah,
Like,
there we go.
For sure.
if a man, you know, lacks certain things, I could tell he just doesn't have a presence of
Yeah, absolutely.
a real actual male figure.
For sure. So like it hit home with me because like I grew up without a dad and understanding that like, man, like just like Titus was saying, like it's hard to, you know, go into the world and be a man when you don't know how to be. You know,
Absolutely.
it's just like, man, nobody really never taught me how to be a man. Like, so now I got to learn what somebody learned from a kid when I'm an adult, and it's just like, man, like that's so tough. So one of the things that I want to talk about is that my nephews, you know, I got nephews and their dad got killed at a young age, and growing up not having a dad, I'm like, man, I will never be that guy, and I will never treat my children like that. And I knew, you know, when their dad had passed away, I can never replace their dad, but I knew if I could show them a positive role model to be a man to get up, you know, go to work, you know, learn how to fix a car, learn how to do something, learn how to be positive in your life that you can be somebody. And now, you know, my nephews are doing good, and at a place, you know, it was a rough patch where, you know, they was like, man, my dad's not here, but, you know, Uncle Daryl's here. You get what I'm saying? And, you know, now my oldest nephew's in college, and now my little nephew's like a math genius. So, like, it's just like, you are what you eat. And, like, when you put positivity in the children, or when you put positivity back into, the household, like, it's just like, man, like, I can never replace their dad, but, I can show them how to be a man. Get what I'm saying? And I was like, and I always vowed myself, like, man, I'll never be like my dad. And it's just like, it's,
my fault. And like the craziest thing is to really think about when you do have the absent father in the household, right?
yeah.
The only way you learn to be a man is from your peers.
Yeah,
So
facts.
like,
Yeah, that's
when,
true.
so like when you go to school and you hear like, man, I was just in this girl yesterday. You know what? I think I should do that too because of what he said. So
Right.
it's crazy how like the domino effect kind of
Right.
piggybacks off each other because of your peers.
And
So
that goes back to the music.
literally.
Literally.
Like, all we're hearing is sleep with this girl, sleep with this girl, sleep with her
Facts.
friends,
Facts.
stuff like that. It's like, what are we feeding the community
Mm.
and the people? It's like, what is the agenda behind this? Because none of this that we're seeing on a daily basis is actually healthy for us. It's breaking families. It's
Right.
creating more generational curses. Like it's just bad.
Let me, and also like, and this is will really put into perspective. And I'll try to be quick. I know we got other stuff to talk about, but like this really puts into perspective. Like one time I thought about it, and I was like, this is crazy because, you think about it, the way you live your life is directly an effect of who you hang around,
Yep.
your association,
Yes, sir.
what you listen
Who you are,
to, and what you watch, right?
Yes, sir.
And so if every one of those three is negative in a young person's life, and especially the association will affect you the most, and they have a broken home, when you have a broken home, it doesn't just stop there, right? Because you leave your house, and the way you act at home is how you're going to act in public, right?
Talk.
True.
So you have a broken home, right? But then if you have too many of those, you're going to have a broken community.
Right. Ooh.
If you have too many broken communities, you're going to have a broken state, right? If you have too many broken states, you're going to have a broken nation.
Yeah.
So that's why the United States is the way it is, because there's millions of homes that are broken. So it in turn affects the whole entire nation. And so now our nation is broken. Why? Because the family unit. That's the root.
And I think they're trying to take, in the culture now, they're trying to take away male influence.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
they
but-
are. It's disgusting.
It's a deep conversation within itself.
I don't want to
yeah.
get in that because it
Yeah,
is
that's-
touchy. It is touchy. I ain't gonna lie.
True.
But go ahead. I got a lot of stuff to talk about.
Oh, go ahead. Hey, come on with your question.
all right,
We here to
so
answer for sure.
I kind of want to change the direction and talk about cultural appreciation, specifically Black cultural appreciation, right? And how I feel that. So the question was, do you think that our generation or the new generation lacks cultural appreciation, meaning that they don't care for our history? So again, this is
The question is, do they know the history?
and hear me out, right? So I just had like I guess an epiphany the other day of how real slavery actually was. Right. So I was watching the show yesterday called The Watchmen, and in the beginning scenes of it, like it was showing, basically the KKK killing everyone and dragging, and I'm like, I never really thought. Or I guess it never really hit me how real slavery was.
Yeah.
Traumatic for
my God.
years, for hundreds of
Oh,
years.
bad.
You walk in and you see people getting whipped, or you walk in the forest and you see people getting hanged, or male and female are getting raped. Kids and parents are getting separated for hundreds of years. I never knew. I'm not gonna say I never knew, but I guess I never paid attention to how real slavery was. So I guess I want to. I guess the question is like, do you think that the generation now, or the upcoming generation, or generation in general, we don't appreciate our history because of the trauma attached to it?
Well, first of all, they don't tell us the history before slavery. And they don't know that we were actually kings and queens, and we actually had land and all that type of
Life.
stuff. We had life, yeah, for sure. So it's like when we talk about history, that's the first thing we run to is slavery. Like that is damaging within itself. Like we don't know who we actually are, and they strip that from us. And like it's scary because they're still doing that today. Like in the history books, like they're not. That's not our history. Like that's not Black history. Like come on now. Like I don't want to. like when kids are growing up and coming in high school and they're learning a lot more and they're starting to be more exposed, it's like that should not be the first thing you tell them about their culture is that they were slaves.
Because if you think about it, like in the history books, they want us to basically be a reflection of what we're learning. So if I'm learning about Christopher Columbus, or if I'm learning about all these different
Who killed and raped people, by the way? Side comment.
no offense, all these different white male figures, they want us to basically walk in the same path as them. Like, you know what? This is the way to be. This is the way to live an American dream. Is in the history books. But like my thing is, how can history repeat itself if you don't teach it? So that's why they want history to repeat itself, because they're teaching it to us now. So the whole genocide, the whole us against the world, the whole, you know.
It's not even that they're just teaching. It's not even that they're just teaching it. It's actually happening.
It's happening
right in front of our faces.
Like what? It's happening.
Like slavery ended. Like I don't want to say physically.
No,
it didn't
slavery
end.
never ended.
I'm about to say it didn't end at all.
Slavery never
because
ended.
it's still happening. We're still being killed. They're still poisoning us. I mean, they're poisoning the whole nation of America. Let's be real. But when it comes to our culture, it's like we're the first to get experimented on, and like I don't know.
In a sense, though.
In a sense, yeah, for sure. But I don't know. It's like we're the main target. It's like, what is it about us that triggers y'all so bad? Like, that's how I know there's a missing piece in the history that they're not teaching us.
And I think that falls into the fear of. So I might say this the wrong way, but just follow me, I guess. But like the fear of potential, like they know that if we were to actually come together as a nation, as a unit, as a household, it gets scary. If you take black people out of entertainment, out of what is that called? Out of influence, where would this world be? Take us out of music, take us out of sports. Take us out of Olympics. Take us out of everything. Where would this world be, really?
And that's crazy. They make it seem like that's the only thing we know how to do. Sports.
It's entertainment.
And stuff like that. When in actuality, we're actually geniuses outside of that.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
We're naturally creative. We naturally figure it out.
We've created almost everything on this earth.
So everything starts from us.
Let's not talk about it.
Everything literally starts from us when it comes to music, culture.
Yeah.
The way people move, it's just crazy. It's
the human race. You know where it came from.
Black woman.
Let's talk about it.
Black woman. Let's not.
Let's talk about it. No, but come on, y'all talk. We've been.
Oh no, y'all good. I'm just listening because a lot of times, a great leader listens before he can. He's a great follower before he leads.
Yeah, for sure.
And like sometimes you have to listen in ordinary to learn. You got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You know what I'm saying? So like, listen more, talk less. But at the end of the day, like, bro, this like that's all true. And people really don't know the history. And sometimes, like you said, Zion, like I sit there and ponder, like, man, do we really know the history of just our culture? Get what I'm saying? Or just anybody's culture? Like one of the things I love watching is documentaries, and one of the richest men in the world was Man Musa. People won't even know.
Don't know who that is, yeah.
Crazy because I don't. So enlighten me, brother. Enlighten me.
Like Man Musa was one of the richest people in Africa. Like no, he was the richest man to ever live. And pretty much that his like the person that was in charge, he kind of like left, and Man Musa took it over and was able to flip like a bad situation into like $1 billion industry. Like as of today, he is the richest man to ever live. And like that, people.
I've heard about that actually.
Bro, I literally watched the documentary and I'm like, bro, this is insane. Like think about the richest man in the world, Jeff Bezos, or whoever the richest man.
But it was the crazy thing is you said billions. It was billions back then.
Yeah.
Think about how much that's worth now.
So
Probably
it's trillions.
Yeah. Think about how much it is, today. If you think about Jeff Bezos, like I was just thinking about this. Like Jeff Bezos can literally pay his workers $100,000 and won't touch them. That's mind blowing, bro. Like for you to be able to pay your workers $100,000, and I'm just saying that metaphorically. I don't necessarily know, but that's insane. But yeah, man, Musa was one of the greatest leaders to ever live, and it was just like, man, I didn't even know that, and it just kind of opened up my
Like, why don't they talk
Yeah,
about
why don't
stuff
they
like
teach
that?
them? Why don't they-
Yeah.
You know, just and not even just black history. Like, why don't they just teach the truth about everything?
Yeah, facts.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because a lot of times it's a facade of this and it's a facade of that, but at the end of the day, like, bro, there's so much things that people don't know about, and people that are in the dark, and you know, they will never know it until they open up their minds.
But thank God we live in an age of information where
Right,
all that is
right.
definitely attainable.
That's what I was gonna say. Like,
Yeah.
Information
we could
is there
definitely-
for sure if you want to learn.
I
definitely
definitely think like the education system definitely has to change though. Like
Man.
for sure. Like you
Gosh,
mentioned something
man,
about
almost cussed.
you mentioned something about the history books. Like, you know, make it more diverse. Make like have some good in there. You know.
I
And it's-
keep learning about the same white male every year.
Yeah.
Bro.
And keep
Yeah.
going deeper into
And
the
I
story
think-
every year.
and
Like
I-
there's only so much I can learn about.
and
this guy.
I think another thing is like
No cap.
I think another thing that's important is like don't teach me history so I know. Teach me history so I don't make the same mistake.
Thanks. Ooh.
You know what I'm saying? Like it just seems like they just history teachers just it's almost like they just teach it. You know, oh this is we're just supposed to know this. You know,
Because, like,
nah,
if-
what can I learn from it?
If you think about the history that we did learn, it was based off of a lot of irrational decisions, bro. You know how many wars we done learned
Right,
about, bro?
right,
Why?
right.
Like, bro, the stupidest stuff. Like,
Yeah.
Like, what is that doing for us?
Right, right, exactly. Yeah.
Doing nothing for us.
Like, bro, it makes no sense. It makes no sense. Man, that was a good conversation.
There's so much, man. It's just so much to talk about nowadays. Like,
I know.
true,
Like,
yeah.
I have numbers and stuff. I'm
Yeah,
trying to
true.
keep it like.
you can just keep going,
I
man.
don't know. There's a lot, but I guess to kind of keep moving.
We gotta learn and take initiative
That's fact.
and actually want to become better. Like,
Yeah.
individually, like if we become better individually and shape our minds, you know, to become leaders, and if we bring ourselves together,
Yeah.
that will have such an impact, not only for us, but the people coming behind us.
Yeah.
As far as the kids, like, it's good to see 4 black role models up here talking about this type of stuff, because certain people are scared to talk about this type of stuff because they're afraid of what other people might think.
Right.
But we need people who are not afraid, who want to take that leap of faith, like you mentioned earlier. Take that leap of faith. Go into the school. Shout out to Lauren Kelly. She was on here last week. She said you got a lot of work
Yeah,
going.
big shout out to her. That was
Yeah.
a good episode.
Yeah, for sure. She has a lot of
She can come
stuff.
back too.
She has a lot of stuff going on in the community, and we're just looking for people who are ready to take the lead, man. Like,
And then off
We
of that,
ready, all
like, for the time I've been in Minnesota, and then going back to Minnesota, like, they have a lot of community outlets, right? So one thing I've never like really heard about, but I've heard about it, but I've never been to, is a farmer's market. Like, you know, you see like plants and people homegrown their vegetables and all that stuff, and
That's fire.
I'm like, bro, like this stuff is real. But then I come back to Springfield, I'm like, everything is so dead. So that's one thing I really was, I guess, upset and angry about, is because I've said so many negative things about Springfield, but never wanted to change it. So now having that experience outside of what I know, you want to come back and heal,
Yep.
right? 'Cause
Right.
that's what we need is healing.
fact.
Absolutely.
So it's like, go ahead.
So now I got a question. You
Yeah,
said
ask me,
that,
brother.
You said that you never had, a desire to change it, but you
Yeah.
know, I kind of, I'm more of a visual person, and I just kind of watch stuff. But like, as in Springfield, it's just like, what does these young kids have to do? And like, a lot of people say, man, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do that, and I'm gonna do this, but it's just like, do you really care? You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? What are you doing, or like, what are the steps that you're taking to make Springfield a better place to live?
Right.
A lot of times people say, man, I'm gonna move out of Springfield, but wherever you go, you're gonna have problems.
Yeah, facts.
But
Yeah, that's
like,
true.
At the end of the day, this is where you're from. Why don't you get back to your community?
Absolutely.
Get back to the
Right.
youth,
Yeah.
Get back and like give it your all. And you can be like, man, you know what? Even though I gave Springfield my all, I started this foundation, or I started this. Like it gives people a sense of hope that you can do something, you can be something.
Yeah, facts.
And it's just like, man, you know how many celebrities and people that came from Springfield, and they'll never say that.
Mm-hmm.
They'll never say that. You know what I'm saying? They'll never say I'm from Springfield, Ohio.
So,
You know what I'm saying?
so I think the biggest thing for me was, I always felt, and I've had these conversations with so many people, but I've always felt like if I was to put something within Springfield, it wouldn't be able to reproduce itself.
There we
You know what I
go.
mean? So
Yeah,
like, so like,
yeah.
so like
True.
we have outlets
Absolutely.
like
Absolutely.
we have outlets like U Media, we have outlets like the SBDC,
Yes, sir.
but once we put certain people in those positions, it doesn't reproduce itself for it to keep going, for it to keep,
Got you.
you know what I mean? So
Slow
I
down.
always felt like a friend of mine a year ago, we had a conversation. He was like, he's like, Zion, so like you want to do, because I've also wanted to get into like the fashion. I've also wanted to
Facts.
do whatever. He was like, would you ever have a store in Springfield? I said no. He was like, why? I said because of that reason, like it wouldn't be able to reproduce itself.
Yeah,
Right.
sure.
So, but I'm in the position now where like once I continue to take off with my career, I can have different outlets come to Springfield to give exposure, which is the reason why. Shout out to myself right now. I'm trying to have an event come together where I get different food vendors from different states to come to a central place in Springfield and have like some people come in and talk to the kids, to the adults, to really give insight on how to do more than what they know. Because Springfield, or only because maybe I've lived it for so long, we depend on a lot.
Yeah.
For sure.
So when it comes to food stamps, when it comes to assisted living, when it comes to
Absolutely.
the population is huge, because we depend. So I want to be able to put people in a position to be independent,
Right.
to make money off of what you know, or I'm sorry, not to make money, but to make revenue off of what you know, to be wealthy in the cases where Laz has been such a great example of what you're putting in your body,
Right.
what you're giving out of your body. You know what I mean? So
Sure.
I want to have that event coming, sometime next year.
I'm gonna help you with that because
I appreciate
you
it.
know, you know, we
No,
but
go ahead,
it's just crazy. We've sat down and had these type of
So like,
conversations one-on-one.
guys,
Right.
so many times, bro.
And it's like
Countless nights.
Yeah, it's time for sure.
But to keep answering your question, one of the biggest goals for me is to have a program where I can take young black males and females from grades 8th grade, basically transitioning into high school, right?
Yeah.
So I take them in as a mentor, and I show them how to have a debit card, or basically correct stewardship.
Finances.
Yeah,
Right.
stewardship.
Yeah.
For sure.
How to maintain money,
For sure.
learn your expenses, and then going outside of that, I want to show them the world. So hey,
Yeah,
let's get your
absolutely.
passport. Let's go to Africa. Let's go to
Yeah,
Tokyo.
yeah,
Let's go to
yeah.
because
That's
the
dope.
more kids know, the more they'll do.
yeah,
Right.
Sure.
So
the more creative people are trying to become. for
that's
sure.
that's something I've been working on for like literally like the last 10 years, is basically being a better example, because I'm so negative, like, oh, I hate Springfield, but I did nothing about it.
Yeah. no,
So now I'm in the position to finally, I'm not gonna say to finally, but to do something about it.
Perspective has
That's
changed.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Because, like, man, I've heard a lot of people, man, say, I hate Springfield and I hate what it's become. But are you a part of the problem or the solution?
Right.
I was a part of the problem. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Right.
I was a part of that
That's
negativity.
That's a good.
So,
Yeah.
like, it's just like, a lot of people are just negative. And it's just like, do something about it to change it. Get what I'm saying? Like,
There we go.
Instead of being negative, like, what you reciprocate to people is what they're going to reciprocate back to you. So if you reciprocate a negative energy, they're going to reciprocate a negative energy back. But if you reciprocate a positive energy, they will reciprocate a positive energy back. So I was at work last night, and it didn't dawn on me that this lady was pregnant, and she was pushing these totes, and it was just like, it dawned on me, like, why is she pushing these totes?
Man.
And why ain't nobody helping her? So, I was like, man, you know what? I'm going to go help this lady. Man, when I went to go help this lady, her whole body language changed, like, man, thank you so much. And she was like, what is your name? And I was like, my name is DJ. And
Part of the
and she was,
solution.
it made me realize that there's nobody that does that for her.
Simplicity, though.
Like it like when it changed her body, like when it changed her body language, it was just like, man,
Like,
that made me feel so good.
Yeah,
but
yeah. Basically, like the simple act of kindness, can change the
for sure.
the mindset of somebody. But can we get a time check real quick? Like,
Yeah, you're at 60 minutes.
Okay.
But to continue, like just her whole mood just changed. She was like, "Thank you so much for pushing those toes," and I was like, "Man," I was watching. I was like, "Man, this lady is hurting. Like what? Like was she pregnant? Like so."
The world really do not care about people.
And
Like,
that's
yeah.
the crazy thing about it. Man. It's
I have to
just
disagree,
like,
Lars.
No, I'm saying like as far as like that aspect, like I don't.
No, I think the world does care. It's just the certain areas we do care in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then like we
true.
control so much of what we take in and what we give out, right?
Right.
So if we only care about this area, we're only going to care about this area right
yeah.
here.
Yeah, facts.
But now when I'm learning, thank you to the people around me who have literally been basically molding me into what I am today, is that I'm starting to not starting, but I've become less judgmental to everything that I've been learning, because I'm like, I guess like for example, right? So I'm a musician, right? And I also love movies. I love whatever. But like if I hear something and I don't like it, I'm like, man, that crap is trash. Like it's terrible. So I didn't start finding the value in things, right? But there's literally value in everything.
for sure.
There's value in everything. It's just what is entertaining to you, I guess, in some cases. So like once I start understanding the value in everything started to become beautiful in my eyes. Like, man, this person did that because he heard it from someone else, and now he's doing his own twist to it. Like, like certain stuff like that. So I think like when it comes to Springfield, to go back to what you said, when it comes to Springfield, we have to understand the value. We have so much talent, so many
Absolutely.
athletes, so many artists, but we don't pay attention because we only care about, I guess, in a sense, stardom. Like, okay, this kid's going to go somewhere because of this coach putting him on the map. And no, there's a kid down the street who's been performing plays 4 weeks in a row, and he's been the star. You know what I mean? So it's just about finding the value in the smallest things.
Yeah. So like so where I stay right now, it's a huge apartment complex, and like just like what I said, the act of kindness. So one day, there's a local bakery called Schuler's Bakery, and
Fire.
I was like, man,
Fire.
Bill's Donuts is better.
Also fire. Bill's Donuts. You had it in Centerville?
You know what?
Yeah.
Have you ever been to Michigan to taste Hinckley's?
Come on now. You don't know about that place.
Bro, what?
Woo!
Nah, I ain't never had that.
Bro, listen. You said
Shout out to
Schuler's-
Jaden Smith, bro. He put me on. Go ahead.
Bro, listen. You talk about good donuts.
Yeah, that mug is fire. I ain't gonna
Bro,
lie.
people travel all over the world just to get Hinckley's. But going back to
Facts.
what I was saying is that like, man, these kids, they don't have father figures. They don't have positive role models. They don't have none of that stuff. And I was like, you know what? I was like, man, I'm gonna just get them some dessert. Man, I spent like $50 or whatever. But like I was just out there just giving them out to the kids, and like that act of kindness, still to this day, the children that I did that to or that came up, they call me Uncle Daryl, no matter what the race is, no matter who they are. And it's just like, man, like that made me feel so good to know that I made that person's day.
Facts.
Like doing something that nobody else did for them. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm that type of person that go out of my way to make you feel like you're somebody. Because like when I grew up, I didn't have that. And I was like, I refuse to let another human or another person suffer the way I did.
Right.
And I was like, I'm gonna give everybody my all. You know what I'm saying?
So to come to like the last little segment, if you guys don't mind, is to basically talk about the importance of team, unit, and family, right? So like we have talked so much about broken homes, about the different aspects we've been through in our lives, the individuality, but the important thing for the Black community or just the community in general is to be a team. So so the question I had was, why is it important to have a team rather than doing it alone? So before you guys answer that real quick, let me tell you a little, I guess, about me. So my entire life, right, I've always wanted to do everything alone because begged people to collab or to work with or to hey, can I do this for you? Or hey, can you teach me this? Can I basically be under your wing so I can learn from you, right? So then once I got all those rejections, I started to basically teach myself everything. So self-taught in music, self-taught in producing, self-taught in song arrangement, self-taught in video editing, self-taught in shooting, you know what I mean? But then when it comes to certain areas, especially when it comes to post-production, which is basically trying to, put everything into a story, I started to lack, right? So when it came to me going through this Hulu and now Fox Sports thing, I'm starting to understand that there are people in this world who specifically do that and they're good at it.
Yes, sir.
I don't have to sit there 40 days in a row trying to mix this one part, trying to edit this one part, trying to color grade. There are people in that world who have that expertise, right? So, but yeah, basically, I would like to hear from everybody. Why is it important to have a team or to do things as a unit, as a community, rather than doing it alone?
Oh, well, that's
I was gonna say also. So there's no I in team. So a lot of people say I, but when you say that, it kind of triggered my mind. It's like Jordan, right? They say Jordan is the greatest player ever. Jordan didn't do it alone.
Facts.
He had Pittman, he had Rodman, he had Steve Kerr.
Kukoc, come on now.
Like one of the greatest shooters of all time.
Yeah.
Like
Pieces around him.
And like, even though Jordan is a phenomenal player, he had a team to get him those championship rings. They don't talk about the struggle that he had before he had that team, right? They talk about the team that he had now. And I think about LeBron James, right? LeBron James is a phenomenal basketball player.
Yeah, he can't do it alone though.
Like, he's a phenomenal basketball player, but he got those championships by having a team.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, like his whole career, like he didn't have a team, and he literally struggled, to playoffs and championships. But when he got a team, that's when he started winning championships. So like, I realized more than ever, you cannot do this by yourself. You're not like in this world. Like a lot of people say, man, I'm solo dolo. Yeah, right, bro. You need a team to do whatever you want to do.
And then resemble that to our community though.
Resemble that to our community.
So basically, yeah, go ahead.
It takes a village to raise a child, right? So at the end of the day, like a lot of people say they have all this stuff going on, but if you come together as one collective, or you can make a powerful community, and it's just like instead of being dispersed, how about we come together and come up with a solution with a problem? You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so just the team, man. So that's a great question, bro.
I've been a part of a lot of teams, coming up. I play sports, been around a lot of people, and like the impact it's had on me is like crazy. To where as if I would have did everything alone, I wouldn't be in the spot that I'm in today. Coming out of high school, I wanted to be, I wanted to go into fashion. I wanted to, do all that type of stuff, but I didn't really have the guidance and I didn't really have mentorship when it comes to that industry. So it didn't go where I wanted it to go. So basically I ended up with just having ideas. But, outside of that, I partnered up with some entrepreneurs. I'll tell you that story another time, but partnered up with some entrepreneurs, and again, the impact it's had on me is because like when I'm going through downfalls, there's somebody who's already went through that and they've already paved the way for me to get through that. Like, and that's important. Like, we need to have mentorship, coaching, and just people to be there when we're down at life. We need to have people to, lean on. Like, you shouldn't have to do everything by yourself. Right. I feel like, because you won't go nowhere. You won't end up nowhere. Like, you just gonna end up at dead ends all the times because you just don't have no guidance or no impact. Like, and we just need to, come together. And I feel like when we come together, we have more perspective. And the more perspective we have and the more creators we have, we get more done. Like, and it's fun too. Like, it's fun having a team that actually, has the same vision as you have.
It's fun winning together.
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely fun. We can have fun, take trips, let's do life together. I feel like that's what we're all here for. We're on this planet to do life together. Like, we're all human beings. We all have our own stories. Why not bring it together to help the next person? Like, doing everything alone is just that solo dolo saying. You just gonna end up hurt, bro. And that makes me think of that J. Cole song. if you don't love like the people around you or you know what you're doing, like that money don't mean nothing, bro.
Man, so just to piggyback off of that, there was a TikTok that Lil Wayne said, after all of the lights, after all of the money, he said, bro, it's lonely. And that's coming from one of the biggest celebrities that's in the world today. He said, after the lights, after the girls or whatever, after whatever they do, he said, bro, it's lonely. Bro, that is incredible to have that stature of success and still be lonely at the end of the day.
Facts.
Like, bro, that like, I'm like, man, these people out here, they got buku money and they're lonely. And it's just like, bro, that's insane. But I'm thankful today that I got a team that stands behind me, that pushes me to do better with myself and to, like, man, like I said, man, before there's no I in team, like, you need a team to be successful in life. Think about, like, Amazon, right? Jeff Bezos had a team. You know what I'm saying? Like, it all comes down to who's going to push you the most and who's going to be there for you, you know, so.
What's your thoughts?
I'm gonna do what I do best, and I'm gonna give some inspiration to the listeners.
Talk to me.
So, you know, so we pointed out, you know, some things that the issue and the problem, but you know, I think Zion, you just hit it. You know, this is one of the biggest things that will help with a solution is the team. And Laz and Daryl, you pointed out that it's not about individualism, but it's about a team, you know, to achieve success. But I have a question for everybody listening. Yes, it's about, you know, where you will go on life is dependent upon your team. But my question to you is, what kind of team are you on? Because there's a lot of people in this community that's on a team where it's negative association.
Facts.
So you need to. It's important to try to locate, you know, people and things, you know, that will bring positive to your life.
Yeah. So I think kind of to answer that basically is to understand, right? So when we come together or when people come together, and the reason why we've had so many wars and so many whatever is because of we didn't come to a place of understanding.
Facts.
This is our problem,
Right.
And this is the solution.
Yeah.
Rather than you did what? When? Now we got to fight. You know what I mean?
Right,
Stupid
right.
stuff. So I think number one is definitely understanding. Number two is your surroundings, right? So
Yes.
so you say like we have so many negative association. What's the
Absolutely.
solution to that? Us right here.
Yep. There you go.
Facts.
There you
We're
go.
the
You
opposite.
gotta find
Of,
a
we're the
positive
opposite of negative association,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's two. So number one is understanding. Two is your surrounding. Three, resolve, right?
Absolutely.
So we understand. We have our surroundings, and then the resolve would be what can I do, or what should we do next, or what's the next period, right?
Yeah,
Right.
everywhere.
So
Right.
that I feel like that pretty much answers, but also give your input.
Yeah. For sure.
Man,
You hit on the head.
Yeah, for sure.
back-to-back episodes.
But yeah, I mean, that-
come over and take over, bro.
Nah,
But
don't
that's-
say that, bro.
But that's the question, because you know there's a lot of good in our community, and there's a lot of talent and all that. You know, we just have to bring it out. You know,
Yeah.
But it starts with people like us. You know, and I think that, you know, we especially gotta be an example to the children coming up now, because they're gonna be running a community when we, you know, we running a community. It's our time now, but then after us, you know what, you know, so we have to show them what positive
Right.
association is.
And it's just crazy.
It's our job.
Because the influence of social media women has today is just
Man.
like detrimental.
Come on, keep it
man.
positive.
Like,
Keep positive at the end. Keep positive. No, but like, to basically say like, at first I was scared, right, for the new generation coming up, but then I started kind of like, had to come to a place of understanding,
facts.
because it's low key in a good place. Even though all we see is because of what we feed, all we see is negative, but it's actually in a good place. If you actually look into how many creators we have now because of social media,
Yeah, it's
TikTok.
true. Yeah.
People don't really think about it, but like those kids are video editors. Those people
Facts.
That's true.
are sound
Okay.
designers.
That's true,
Those people
yeah.
are like
Yeah.
See, that's a great perspective because I was
It's
about
true.
to go.
Yeah,
on.
feel
I'm
me?
Yeah,
glad you
got-
stopped
yeah.
me because I
because
was
like
like,
yeah.
a whole
there's
different lane.
there's humor, there's dark humor, there's
Yeah.
entertainment, but
Yeah.
like at the end of the day, they're still creating something.
Oh, TikTok's funny. I
So,
love TikTok for sure.
I always have to go back to value. Where's the value in it? I may look at it just by off appearance and like, that crap is ugly. But if I look deeper, I'm like, man, he actually,
Took the time
to
to
do
Right.
that.
Yeah, yeah.
Go ahead.
Bro, so just to piggyback off of TikTok, like my buddy Gibby, shout out to Gibby.
Shout out to Gibby, man. I don't know who that is, but shout out.
Yeah, shout out to you, bro.
I seen this dude's TikTok account grow from, metaphorically speaking, 2,000 followers to 54,000 followers
Mm.
less than 2 weeks. One of his videos went 10 million views and like maybe 1.5 million likes, and I was like, Gibby, bro, do you know the platform you have?
Right.
Like man, I lost my train of thought too.
Go ahead.
Inspire people. I'm like, bro, you went from 2,000 to 54,000 people in 2 weeks, bro. Like, that's impressive. I was like, man, every day I'm like, dude, like you inspired me. I ain't got that many followers on TikTok, but
Back to the example of why you need a team because I was about to take social media to a whole different route, but Zion changed my
Yeah, he saved you.
Zion saved me and changed my perspective.
Hey, I saw it in his eyes, bro. I was like,
Yeah.
lads, don't do it, lad.
Man, this is why you need people like
You need a
this in your
team.
corner.
For
because
sure, for sure.
You can, look at the negative of things, but when you got somebody beside you like this,
Yo.
and they see the positive, of
And-
things,
and
it just
that-
shapes your whole.
That's why it's so hard for people to kind of, I guess, rise above is because, like he said, like in some cases we focus on negative so much.
Yeah,
much,
yeah.
that we become negative. So like growing up, once I focused on negative so much, I became that.
Right.
And now that I'm growing out of it, I'm like, oh, stuff is beautiful. I actually like that flower. That tastes. I like tomatoes now. Like just stupid stuff. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
facts.
So yeah.
Well, that was the wrap up for that, man. Another amazing episode in the books. Please come check us out, the Power Grid Podcast.
Power
like,
grid.
subscribe, leave comments, please. Listen, and I also want to shout out to SBDC for allowing us to
Yeah.
For sure.
to have this media center and to have the team, like y'all said.
Yeah.
Yes,
so,
the
you
team.
know, I'm DJ.
Last.
Titus.
Zion, and we also have Kevin back there doing the
Yes,
video.
sir.
Shout out
Shout
to
out to
Kevin.
Kevin.
Shout out.
Yes, sir. Let's clap it up.
Let's clap it
Yeah. All right, we're good.
So we can go right
Cut.
It's a cut.
Cut. Can we
Bro.
please get that intro, bro? I swear it's fun.
there. You are.
Yeah.
Man.
Bro,
I'll play it for you. I'll play it for you.
I don't even know if I even can do it.